And we should be live for the Steelers Depot Monday live stream here on April 26th. As always, I am Alex Kozora. Alongside me is Dave Bryant. Let me go ahead and pull up the stream on my end. And the last live stream before this week's draft, Dave, should be a lot of fun tonight and should be a lot of fun later this week.
Absolutely. Peace and love. Happy draft week to everybody. And thank you for everybody who stopped by the site today and stopped by this live stream chat. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Just let me know, guys, if the audio sounds good for myself and Dave. If Dave happens to sound like a robot, then I can make the adjustment and change that setting real quick as well. All right. Let's get to the chat here. And you guys see on screen, we have the Kevin Colbert, Mike Tomlin presser from this morning, and also my final Steelers mock draft. Dave's mock draft will be coming out on Wednesday.
The
Robot
Wednesday
Dave's
after the draft.
Wednesday after the draft. Wait, does Dave sound good or Robot? I got mixed messages here on Robot Dave or not. So let me know, guys, how Dave sounds, and then we'll start here with the chat. Dave, give me a quick test, please.
Testing 111 testing.
All right, let me know. Mutated Genome said Robot Dave. I want to get a little bit more feedback, and then we'll dive into the questions. So let me know in the chat. It says I'm echoing. I should not be echoing. Robot. All right, let me go ahead and hit this button. Dave, give me a quick test one more time.
Testing 111. Testing 123. Hello. Today. Hello.
All right, let's see.
Everybody
if that
hear me?
should fix it. Let me check here. And then we will get into the first question from John Pennington here in hopefully a moment. And be here till the top of the hour answering all of your guys' questions. Let me know if that is better, though, if you guys could do that in the chat. Good to go? James says the problem was on his end. Better. Okay. All right. We are now good to go. With the first question from John Pennington, who asked Dave and Alex, how important this draft looking for quality talent players as undrafted free agents to fill holes after the draft? So basically, I think John's asking how important are undrafted guys. I think it's going to be a lot tougher to find a diamond in the rough post-draft for Pittsburgh because they're typically pretty stingy with their undrafted partial guarantees of base salaries the way that other teams do, and then also with a really shallow draft pool, about a third of draft eligible players than what are normally in a draft class. Probably going to make it even tougher to find those guys. I think that's one reason why this team loaded up on so many pro day guys, Matthew Sexton, Tyler Simmons, Jameer Jones, guys like that, because they knew that the undrafted pool was not going to be too enticing.
Yeah, I think when you look overall, just a lot of things that you said, because the draft class as a whole, with the COVID and all like that, people not having a good read on a lot of these. Look, the Steelers have 75 players under contract right now. If you look at if they make all 8 of their draft picks, that would leave, if you do the math on that, it should leave 7 undrafted free agents. Now, obviously, we saw, I think last year they cut 3 players after the draft, and I think they had 10 undrafted free agents in total. The undrafted class this year, there'll probably be between 7 and 11 in total there. And I think one of them is probably going to have to be a quarterback, unless they're going to bring Alex in to play some quarterback there at the rookie mini camp there. And as Alex also said, look, you have what's called, what the exact name of it?
The developmental camp?
No, the pool, the signing bonus pool for the undrafted rookies. I forget what the exact term of that is, but I think it's $100 this year. That's the total amount of signing bonus money that you can give all of your undrafted class. So if you sign 20 undrafted free agents, the max the signing bonuses can add up to is $160,000. If you sign just one undrafted free agent, the max you can give is $160,000. The Steelers in the past, I think we look back, they spent something around $66,000, 66,000 big ones for their undrafted rookies last year. That's not a lot of money, and you have a lot of teams around the league, and the Patriots have being one of those that will even go as far as fully guaranteeing like half of the scheduled base salary just to get some of these undrafted free agents in the door there. So the Steelers are definitely not going to do that. That makes it even harder, and with the class being that much smaller and not that much, that much quality deep because of, evaluations, it's going to be hard to get a good undrafted free agent class this year.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that is why the Steelers have shifted their focus to other avenues like that pro day circuit. Got a question here from Mutated Genome, a longtime follower of the live stream. Thank you for that. He says, Alex and Dave, do you grade any of this year's crop of running backs, including those outside the top three, greater than or equal to Le'Veon Bell? Would you be as satisfied with a running back who did not grade out as high as Bell? I assume that means grading out compared to Bell as he was in the NFL. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But Dave, what do you think about comparing these top backs to Le'Veon Bell?
Man, I'm trying to remember back to a
I didn't
lot of the
like Bell
stuff.
coming out. He was a big guy that I missed. I totally missed on him.
I can't remember where I was on him, to be quite honest with you. It's been so many years ago, and they kind of stack up, and we obviously didn't have the tape back then that we have now. So uh, I was glad. I remember being glad that they got Bell instead of Eddie Lacy.
Mm,
I do remember that overall. It's so hard to stack years like this, especially that many years apart. There, I will say this. Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are both. I think every down backs at the NFL level, they can do a lot of different things. The question then becomes, the value of spending a first round draft pick on them. And Kevin Colbert, in so many words, seem to think that, look, if a player's good enough and dynamic enough, they don't care what the position is. So any dynamic punters out there, I guess. But within that, it doesn't sound like they're going to be too scared to take a running back in the first round overall. But for me to sit here and try to compare guys like Travis Etienne and Najee Harris to Le'Veon Bell coming out of Michigan State, I just, my memory's just, it's good. It's just not that good.
yeah, it's hard for me to make the comparison as well. Plus, Bell became a different player. He dropped a lot of weight after his first year in Pittsburgh, so there's a lot of apples to oranges there. I think present day, though, I think Najee Harris compares in a lot of ways to Le'Veon Bell. So that's kind of the comparison I've made for a while now, comparing Harris to Bell.
Yeah, one of the things about obviously about Bell during his NFL career, never was king of the, never broke the big run,
Hmm.
So that was a little bit concerning. I hit on that several times during Le'Veon Bell's career with the Steelers. Yeah, and if you look at Najee Harris and his college stats, not the big king uh, of the explosive runs.
Mike Adesso says, question for you, Dave. Dave, I was a little surprised you said on Friday's podcast Dickerson would be your personal pick at 24. I like the pick, but I'm just surprised you came around on him. What changed in the past 2 weeks?
I'm not so much. It's not so much. I don't think that it's changed. It's the fact that, look, we don't know what his medicals are, so we're going to be guessing, like everybody else when it comes to his medicals. Now, I think when you go back, I got a chance just to go back and I told Alex this today on the podcast. I'd already done a little bit deeper dive into his film, and Brian Baldinger, I think, said it. I think it was Brian Baldinger said it best. This might be the best uh, offensive lineman in this year's draft class, plain and simple. And I think he's right overall. Now the question becomes is, what about that knee and or knees and ankles? Is the injury concerns that big a deal? And that's something we're not going to know the answer to unless really the Steelers draft him in the first round. And I mentioned this to Alex, I think towards the end of the podcast today as well too. If Landon Dickerson's medicals are good enough, period, why isn't he good enough to draft in the first round? How do you quantify, well, his medicals are okay if we draft him in round? To me, either you're going to get enough medical information on him where you're going to say, everything looks good to go, and he's our guy. We like everything else about him. We're going to draft him in the first round. If that's not where you can get on him, then then what kind of question become okay at all to draft him?
All
So,
right.
and then I thought Dr. Mel did a great job on the terrible take on Sunday. If you have missed that, make sure you load that up real quick. About 3.5 minutes or maybe almost 4 minutes of Dr. Mel talking about the medicals and the concerns about Landon Dickerson. Here's the thing. I know the Steelers like Landon Dickerson. Here's what I don't know. I don't know what they think about his medicals there.
Mhm, yeah.
So that makes it the hardest thing. I think Landon Dickerson is a slam dunk first round guy without the medicals. You throw in the medicals, I don't know.
Yeah. Steelers love him. Colbert loves him. Tomlin loves him. Do the doctors love him? That is the big question. Hello, Alex, Dave, and Steelers Nation. Hello, Steeler fan. Thank you for joining us again. We are here till the top of the hour answering your guys' questions. If you want to have your question be guaranteed to be asked and answered, send us a super chat and it will move to the front of the line. James Naylor says, do you guys think the Steelers would consider Travis Etienne or Javonte Williams at 24 if Najee Harris is off the board? I would say yes to Etienne. I would say probably not to Javonte Williams.
I would agree. I think there is a possibility that depending on which running back they like better and which offensive lineman, maybe if Dickerson passes the mustard test, yeah, I could see him potentially being
If Harris was there, would they go Harris over Etienne? We believe it's Harris, but there's nothing that is conclusive, obviously, saying that Harris is their number one back on their board.
right.
Just food for thought. Suleiman Jelani says, do you guys see any positions that the Steelers double up on? Maybe an inside and outside corner, two edge rushers with the depth behind Watt and Hyde. That stays three guys. The board's all over the place. I do think edge is one position you could see that because there just is so little behind that. And I considered adding a second edge rusher for my mock draft. So I think edge is probably the most likely, but that is, I think, often dictated not by need, but by just by positional value and grade and who's kind of the best guy left on your board.
Yeah, yeah. I would bet against it, quite honestly, but stranger things have happened. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, no, it's not going to happen. I've learned my lesson speaking in absolutes when it comes to stuff like that. But I would be a little bit surprised if we saw a double up at a position.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the history of drafts where they drafted, more than seven guys, so eight plus, and how often they doubled up. Obviously, the more picks you have, the more likely you are to just naturally double up. So we'll have to see the history of that. K Jackson Pittsburgh says, "Hi, Alex and Dave. I hope you both are well. It's been a while for me. Ready for a great question and answer. Thank you, K Jackson Pittsburgh. Been a while, so we're glad that you were able to catch this live stream." All right, next question here will come from let's see, K Jackson Pittsburgh. We'll say, what is either of your opinion? Ben play another year? Could that be the Steelers' plan? I don't think that's their plan because I think odds are pretty high, not guaranteed, but pretty high. This will be Ben's final year. I think quarterback's such a unique situation right now. We just don't know where their head is at because you have four quarterbacks at once, but they're also all going to be free agents after the season. Haskins will be at least a restricted free agent. So it's a really weird spot. My guess is they don't draft one, but I'm not going to close that door shut.
Yeah, we talked about that quite a bit on the podcast. Did draft one, I would expect it to be third or fourth round, and I don't know, Mond or Jamie Newman or something along those lines. I'm hoping they don't, but well, it's one of those things that I don't think you can rule it out entirely.
Yeah, how about Kyle Trask? A guy has some Rudolph vibes, and not that I'm a big fan of Kyle Trask, but could be a Uh,
Possible.
yeah, possible. Any chance they will draft an inside linebacker in round one? There's a chance. I think it's relatively low, Allen. But if a JOK was there and Harris is off the board, or Zaven Collins. Collins has got a lot of run in Pittsburgh the last 2-3 days. In terms of some people thinking that could be the pick. Now that'll break a lot of history and precedent, but it's not ironclad. They certainly have the ability to do that. To not beholden to the history of small schools and pro days and things like that. So it would surprise me, but it would not absolutely, be out of the blue floor me, Alan. Z Blue says, which edge rusher would you believe would be available in rounds 3 or 4? You would like to see the Steelers draft?